Urgent Vikings fan, look at what just happened. Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest your team news, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Aaron Rodgers just got another step closer to joining Vikings. The offseason drama continues to churn on for former Green Bay Packers legend Aaron Rodgers. After his release from the New York Jets, Rodgers is a free agent for the first time in his career. But finding a new team has been a more complicated process than expected for the future Hall of Famer. Rodgers has flirted with the Pittsburgh Steelers during the free agency period, but the juicer headline has been his interest in joining the Minnesota Vikings. With an unproven second-year quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, the Vikings spent over a week debating bringing in the 41-year-old as a stopgap before ultimately deciding to move forward while keeping the door open for Rodgers, just in case. On Friday, the door may have cracked open just a little more as a prominent free agent signing thinned the quarterback market and could clear a path for Rodgers to wind up in Minnesota after all. Joe Flacco's signing could clear path for Rodgers to wind up with Vikings. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Cleveland Browns have reached an agreement on a one-year, $4 million contract with Joe Flacco. Flacco's deal includes incentives that could hike the price of the contract up to $13 million, presuming that the 40-year-old will have a chance to start in Cleveland next season. Reunion: the Cleveland Browns and veteran quarterback Joe Flacco reached agreement today on a one-year, $4 million deal worth up to $13 million with incentives. His agency, JLS Sports 3, told ESPN, Flacco now will return to Cleveland, where he won the NFL's Comeback Player of the Pick. Twitter: CompoCure VMS. Adam Schefter, April 11, 2025. This seems like an irrelevant move when it comes to the Rodgers drama. However, Schefter notes that Flacco was talking to the Vikings and Steelers before deciding to sign with the Browns. The chance to start may have been a determining factor in that decision, but it leaves Minnesota's options dwindling as they look to sign a quarterback to pair with McCarthy. McCarthy was the 10th overall pick in last year's draft, but didn't play in his rookie season after suffering a knee injury. The 22-year-old underwent a second procedure on his knee in November, but has resumed football activities as he prepares for next season. Still, the Vikings would like to find an upgrade over current backup Brett Rypien, and while Rodgers would be the starter, their options are running out. The Vikings' first plan was to keep Daniel Jones, but he left for a chance to battle Anthony Richardson for the starting job with the Indianapolis Colts. Sam Darnold left Minnesota to sign a massive contract with the Seattle Seahawks in free agency, and other options such as Gardner Minshew, Kansas City, Zach Wilson, Miami, Jameis Winston, New York Giants, and Cooper Rush, Baltimore, have all come off the board. Minnesota has been linked to former Tennessee Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill, but he didn't play in 2024 and no deal was imminent, according to Fox Sports' Jordan Schultz. With Drew Lock and Carson Wentz the other top options on the market, both sides are playing a game of musical chairs. If Tannehill goes elsewhere, the Vikings could be forced to see if Rodgers would be interested in becoming a backup or forking out draft capital to bring back Kirk Cousins, but every time the Vikings seem to slam the door shut, such as Kevin O'Connell's comments at last month's NFL owners' meetings, something seems to pry it back open. This doesn't make Rodgers' arrival in Minnesota imminent, but it increases the chances of it happening. If McCarthy struggles during minicamp and OTAs and Minnesota can't find a backup, the Vikings could make a call to Rodgers, who has been willing to throw himself into this situation. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Vikes news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Claro, aqui está a tradução do texto para o inglês. The Minnesota Vikings are playing with fire at the quarterback position. The Vikings still haven't signed a backup quarterback after losing Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones in free agency. They're waiting, since signings after April 29th won't count against the NFL's compensatory formula, and Minnesota is currently projected to receive multiple compensatory picks for the 2026 NFL Draft. While it's easy to justify the Vikings' approach, that doesn't make this an ideal situation. They're going Allen on McCarthy, and for good reason, but will need a backup with some skill in case the new starting quarterback has a setback with his surgically repaired knee. The Cleveland Browns took one of the best remaining options off the table for Minnesota on Friday, signing veteran Joe Flacco to a one-year, incentive-laden deal. So who's left? Should the Vikings reunite with Kirk Cousins? The Browns were once considered favorites to land Cousins via trade with the Atlanta Falcons. With Cleveland committing to Flacco, a reunion between Cousins and the Vikings could very well be in play. Minnesota won't trade for their former starting quarterback since the Falcons gave Cousins a ridiculous $180 million contract last offseason. The plan would be to wait until Atlanta inevitably releases Cousins, which would allow Minnesota to sign him on a veteran minimum deal while the Falcons foot the bill. The Vikings pulled off that exact move with Daniel Jones last November after Jones was cut by the New York Giants. Signing Cousins in similar fashion would be a masterstroke by general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Ex-Viking starter opens up about recent departure from Minnesota. For years, the Minnesota Vikings might have wanted to replace Garrett Bradbury, and anyone who closely followed the team saw him as ripe to be replaced. This offseason's signing of four-time Pro Bowl center Ryan Kelly signaled the end of Bradbury's time in Minnesota, and after a trade felt possible, the 2019 first-round pick was eventually released in March. Bradbury quickly landed with the New England Patriots, proving there was a market for an experienced 88 career starts, perfectly average center, even if a trade market didn't seem to seriously materialize for the Vikings to recoup even a Day 3 draft pick. He is one of 3 free agent additions made by the Patriots this offseason in an effort to upgrade the offensive line in front of second-year signal caller Drake May. New England started its offseason program under new head coach Mike Vrabel this week, so Bradbury has been around his new teammates and coaches for the first time. Though it's fair to say Bradbury might have needed a change of scenery, and Minnesota's signing of Kelly surely made him realize he'd likely be gone in short order, being cut is never a good feeling. New England Patriots Garrett Bradbury carries no ill will toward the Minnesota Vikings. Bradbury spoke to reporters on Thursday, and unsurprisingly, he was asked for his thoughts on his time with the Vikings and if his departure has added motivation to prove he's still a starting center. Yeah, absolutely. Had 6 great years in Minnesota. It's a great locker room, built some really good connections there. And it ended, right? That's the business. You never want to feel comfortable, but that's a wake-up call. That's when you say, all. Right, here we go. That's how they feel, and they move on. There's no ill will. I'm not bitter towards the Vikings. It's just a new opportunity for me. I think when there's a change, if you don't take that opportunity, you're not going to grow from it. So it's more about, all right, I get to reinvent myself. I get to reprove myself. And the minute you think you have it figured out, you're gone. So new team, new chapter, new offense, what can I bring? And you have to bring it every day. That's the biggest thing I've learned: meeting room, practice, weight room. So not even a wake-up call, but it's just new. It's exciting. It's a fresh start. New opportunity. Entering what was the final year of his contract, Bradbury surely knew his time as a Viking was winding down. The timeline for the end was accelerated when Kelly was signed, and now he's in New England as the favorite to be their starting center. Sometimes things just work out like they're supposed to, and Bradbury is embracing his new opportunity while not looking back in any anger. And now, Vikings fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Vikes. I'll be back any moment with more Vikings news. Skol, Vikings.